Hi, this is Jon Shafer, president of Conifer Games and designer of At the Gates. At the Gates is an empire builder where you will guide a barbarian kingdom to glory during the era of the fall of the Roman Empire. So, in this video, I'll be giving you the first 15 or so minutes of gameplay, which should hopefully give you a good feel for what makes At the Gates unique. Keep in mind that this is still a prototype, though, and we don't have things like unit animations yet. Alright then, let's go ahead and get started. So, this being an empire builder, a big part of the game is exploring the world around you. So you can see that there's a fair amount of fog of war around us that we'll want to uncover as the game goes on. And we'll go ahead and start sending our scout out to explore. Now, another part of an empire builder is developing your empire. So we have a couple settlements here that are capable of building new units. For example, we can build more scouts, and later in the game we'll be able to build things like cavalry, but we can't do that quite yet. So we'll go ahead and get our scout out there, and we found an abandoned village, which will give us some bonuses here. This one in particular gave our scout extra vision, which is great because scouts are designed to explore the map. And it looks like we've uncovered a few other things. So off to the right here, you'll see that there's a hostile stronghold, and there are enemy soldiers here that will come after us, so we'll want to watch out. Eventually we'll want to take them out, but we're not quite strong enough yet. You can see that their strength is 5 and ours is only 1, so that wouldn't be a very good fight for us. So we'll have to get back to them later. Now, one of the other things that we found here is an iron mine. And you'll see we'll click on our logging camp here, and one of the unique aspects of At the Gates is the fact that resources deplete over time. So eventually that logging camp will run out, that iron mine we found will run out as well, and we're kind of forced to find more resources out there in the world. So fortunately there's the iron mine nearby, and we'll be able to grab that. But there are also other ways of acquiring new resources. For example, we can actually migrate and move our settlements around the map. So if our area around us becomes depleted, we can go ahead and move to another part of the map that has more resources that we can get to. Resources are a very important part of the game, and they really help give At the Gates a good pace. So, as I mentioned, we have an iron mine here that's owned by a neutral power. You can tell by its white flag. And I think we should probably go ahead and grab it. That way we can build up our stockpile of metal and train some units. So, when you capture an improvement, you have the choice to either keep it or you can pillage it. And pillaging it will basically destroy the improvement, but it'll give you a big lump sum of metal or whatever. So usually want to do that when you're pretty desperate. We're not right now, so we'll just capture it. So we'll go ahead and move our settlements up here. Now, another important aspect of At the Gates is terrain. So you'll see this river up here. This is actually a large river, which makes it impassable normally. We'll get back to that later. On the right here, you can see marshes, which require multiple turns to enter. And there's also other interesting terrain like forests that give defensive bonuses, that sort of thing. So we'll go ahead and keep moving here, and I'll talk a little bit about the units. So, units in At the Gates have a few properties that make them unique. So, they have strength, which we talked a little bit about earlier. That's based on your natural strength value and how much health and morale you have. So, health is basically what it sounds like, how much damage you've taken. If you suffer health damage, you can only recover it in settlements, so you kind of want to be careful about that, especially when attacking. Morale is a little bit different. You can recover that, but if you lose all your morale, you retreat and take a lot of damage that way, so you kind of have to watch your morale as well. You always have to be on the lookout for making sure that your units are at full strength, because they can drop pretty quickly and they become much less effective when they lose strength. So, another important aspect of the game is supply. So, you'll see that on the unit here we have a provisions amount. We'll get back to that in a second. But the way the supply system works is the terrain tiles each provide a small amount of supply, or a certain amount, and supply can also come from your settlements as well. And if a unit doesn't have enough supply, normally a unit needs 3 supply to keep at full strength, then it starts losing provisions. When it runs out of provisions, then it starts taking damage. So you kind of really have to keep a close eye on that, especially as winter comes by. So we'll keep going here, and you'll see that the settlement here actually produces supply, like I talked about. And we'll turn on the supply view, and you can see what the supply radius of the settlement is. So if your unit is anywhere within that space, it will receive some supply for free. We'll go ahead and keep moving here. We found a logging camp. We'll go ahead and grab that. We now have enough metal, so we're actually going to build a little bit of an army to try and take out those hostile warriors we found earlier. Make sure that they're not too much of a threat. So we now have 2 units against their 1, and the battle should go pretty well for us. Alright, battle went as expected, that's good. And 1 more. Alright, looks like we finished him off. Good. Alright, so we'll keep moving some of these other guys as well. There's a few more things to do here. Okay, and looks like the stronghold's ours. Excellent, we'll just go ahead and grab it. Alright, so we'll keep moving here, and we found a few more things. You can see here there's a mercenary camp. The way those work is you can actually spend some of your wealth to recruit them. They're not very strong, but they're a really cheap way of bolstering your army quickly. You will see that we've found a few other things here. I'll go ahead and move these guys. And here's some stone, actually. So what stone can do for you is improve your improvements. So we'll see over here a farm. If we had stone and the perk, we'll talk about that in a bit, we could upgrade our farm, which will produce more food. So it's kind of a way of upgrading your economy and strengthening what you have without building more farms, which require wood as maintenance. You can also disable improvements if you're running low on something, and they'll stop producing, but they also stop requiring maintenance. Alright, so down here are the Romans. We've actually just discovered them on the map. You can see their roads here. That usually gives you an indication that you're kind of entering Roman territory, and you kind of want to watch out a little bit. So their units are pretty powerful, and they have quite a few of them as well. And they begin the game very strong, but as time passes they become weaker, either because of fighting themselves. So there's 2 Roman factions that fight each other at times, and sometimes they'll work together, fighting other barbarians, and there are also random events that can affect them as well. So an emperor might die and be replaced by a child emperor, and that will weaken them, and you can probably sneak in there and grab some of their improvements. But it is kind of risky business, so you want to make sure that you're not being too greedy. So the way you actually win at the gates is by capturing the Roman capital, either Rome for the Western Roman Empire or Constantinople for the Eastern Roman Empire. Now, so here is the Romanization perks screen. We talked a couple minutes ago about perks being needed to upgrade your farms. So here's stoneworking. This is the specific perk that we need. The way you actually earn perks is by either capturing a city belonging to Rome, or by completing a request for Rome. We'll get into that here in a second, but there are other cool things you can get in here, like shipbuilding. You can build boats, you can build ships that will provide supply to units. So one of my goals with the Romanization perk system was to provide a sense of progress to the game. So obviously, this being the Dark Ages, it wouldn't make much sense to be doing technological research, but you're basically adopting and rediscovering what the Romans have figured out. One of the other things that you can do is refund perks. So instead of being stuck with what you've chosen forever, let's say we're backed into a corner, we can switch out stoneworking for shipbuilding and start building boats to get out of our kind of cramped situation. So it really gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of how you want to do things. One of the other big and really important features in At the Gates is how the terrain changes due to the seasons. Now, I talked earlier about how large rivers like these are normally impassable, but in the winter, they actually can freeze over, allowing your units to pass over them. So we will go ahead and move our scout across the river here. So there are a variety of other effects on the terrain that the seasons bring. You can see that the landscape has gotten kind of cold and desolate. That affects how much supply is available from the ground, as well as how other parts of the map are affected. So coastal areas can freeze over. If your boats get stuck in there, they're obviously in trouble, and becomes harder to move through certain areas of the map. There are also effects in the summer that can come into play, such as areas being scorched, dry areas. Additionally, rivers and marshes can flood. So there's a lot of different effects that can come into play. So one of the other problems with the winter is the fact that our farms stop producing food. So you can see our food in the upper right there is not in a good situation. We only have 23 and we're losing 16 per turn, so it's not good. Fortunately, the winter's almost over, but it's still a problem that we're gonna have to deal with, and you're always kind of up against the edge of things. So you can see over here our farms, like I was saying, they've changed their art, and you can see that they're not really looking very bountiful right now. So we'll keep moving, and now that it's March, spring has broken, so things are looking a little bit nicer again. Go ahead and keep moving our guys up. Now, you'll see up here, our scout has actually found another tribe, and these are the Huns. You can see that they have horse archers, which are very powerful units, so we'll want to watch out. Let's go ahead and talk to their leader. Alright, so this is the infamous Attila the Hun. Now you can see here there's a little ceremony the first time you meet another leader, where you can give them a gift, and they have the option of giving you a gift. Neither of you know what the other is going to do. If you give them a gift and they give you a gift, then you get a nice relations bonus. But if you don't give a gift, then they get pretty upset because they're kind of insulted by the fact that you're not willing to show them that kind of respect. So you have the choice of not giving the gift. We'll go ahead and do it because we want Attila to like us, and you'll see that he gave us a gift as well, so we got a nice little relations boost from doing that. Now, another aspect of the diplomatic game is religion. So he has, his state religion is pagan, whereas ours is Arian Christian. You can see up here, that's what it says. So if they match, then we get a bonus. So one of his requests, you can see down here, is to switch religions. And we will go ahead and do that. And you can now see we are pagan, and he is pleased with us now. So we've kind of become friends with Attila, and that's a very good thing. We can also look to complete other requests for him. It looks like his food situation is not very good, and he would like for us to give us a gift of food. Fortunately, ours isn't all that great either. We just talked about how we were running out of food. But one of the options we have is to kind of sacrifice our food and build up that diplomatic relationship with him if we feel that that's kind of the most important priority. That is a pretty good wrap-up of a lot of the features that are in At the Gates. There's a lot of other things I'd like to show to you guys, but I'm afraid I'll have to wrap up the video here. I'll go ahead and zoom out and show you the full map here and how the seasons change over time. So, if our game seems like something you'd be interested in playing, please consider contributing to our Kickstarter campaign. You can go ahead to Kickstarter.com and just search for At the Gates. You'll find us that way. Alright everyone, thanks for watching.